Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because right here we can see a new trading pattern for Bitcoin that has the potential to break out to the upside or to the downside, and both sides would actually set up a price target. So in the case we break out to the upside, we would have a price target of about 107K for the Bitcoin price. And in terms of a target to the downside, it would be about 85K for the Bitcoin price. So this is definitely a pattern that I'm going to be looking out for over the next couple days. And ultimately, this thing will break out before December 11th. So the next week or so for Bitcoin is going to be absolutely critical to see which way this thing is going to go. Now, I can already see the comments coming of people saying like, okay, so you're saying it can go up and it can go down, so you're not saying anything. But no, sometimes in the markets, guys, you just have these periods where on that 4-hour time frame, for example, you're just chopping sideways. If you just look at this, we have basically just been chopping sideways here without any major moves either to the upside or to the downside. And I think that this will continue until we get some kind of clarity about this breakout either to the upside or to the downside from this symmetrical triangle pattern. And this is literally what these patterns are known for, right? So we get smaller and smaller consolidation until eventually you get that breakout, and then you get some kind of violent move for Bitcoin. Now, on the 1-day time frame, this is actually still playing out this bearish divergence here in the charts, which is when you have higher highs in the Bitcoin price and lower highs in the RSI momentum indicator. And typically it points towards a break from all of this bullish price action that we saw here recently. So either in the form of some choppy sideways price action on that 1-day time frame. So far, we saw about a 10% correction to the downside for Bitcoin since confirming that bearish divergence. And now we've seen a bit of a bounce. So if we zoom in to that 4-hour time frame, once again, for example, you can see that right now we're trading around that 0.5 Fibonacci level, sitting at around 95K. But the most critical level of support to hold for Bitcoin on this 4-hour time frame is actually this Fibonacci golden pocket, which is sitting between 94K and about 93.7K. Because, for example, if we start breaking down below this Fibonacci golden pocket with confirmed candle closes, of course, then at the same time, we would also be breaking down below this symmetrical triangle pattern. And at that point, we are also talking about potentially confirming this breakout to the downside with that 85K price target. Okay, so for now, that is not the case. We are simply consolidating in this pattern here, but at some point we are going to break out either to the upside or to the downside. And therefore we must keep a very close eye on these short-term levels of support and resistance. Either way, let's now take a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. On this 2-week time frame, there is still a decent amount of liquidity to the downside, sitting at about 93.4K, where there is about $200 million worth of long positions. Although, to be fair, if we just zoom out even further, for example, all the way to this 1-month time frame, right now this is pretty clearly showing that most of the liquidity is in fact to the upside, even though there is, like I said, some liquidity at 93K and even at about 91K, a little bit below that. But most of the liquidity is to the upside. So even though potentially we could grab a little bit more liquidity to the downside, I do think very likely at some point we are going to see Bitcoin break 100K once again. Next, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we saw another $675 million net inflow from the Bitcoin ETFs. So again, most of that coming from the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And obviously, this is going to have an upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. So while I'm still seeing these massive inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs every single day, to me, this is actually looking pretty bullish. The fact that there's massive accumulation around this range here, pointing towards more potential upside being left. But before we can start talking about another move to the upside or something like that, we would first have to break this descending line of resistance, or basically just breaking out of this symmetrical triangle pattern, because until then, not much is going on. We are just seeing some consolidation, but that doesn't make the lower time frames less interesting, because I mean, if you just look at this, like lower time frame volatility has been crazy last couple of days. So even though we're just chopping, you're seeing some pretty huge moves on these lower time frames, which is perfect for leverage trading. So that's just what I've been doing. And also, Before I close this video off, guys, I'm finally starting to feel a little bit better. So I'm going to try to fix my upload schedule. I know that recently my uploads have been really, really late. And now I feel a bit better. I got my schedule back in order and I'm feeling pretty good. Okay, so I'm still a little bit sick, but it's getting better. And yeah, thank you guys for watching once again. And I will see you tomorrow in the next one.